Hey, welcome to another episode of the Brad Davidson Show. Today, I'm super excited to bring to you a guest, a friend of mine, a major mentor of mine, someone who's had a massive impact on my life. His name is William Branum. I'm going to read you a little bio on him, short and sweet. I don't think there's enough words to explain how incredible this man is, but he's an experienced Navy SEAL veteran who served for 26 years in the SEALs. He has extensive experience in high-pressure situations as a sniper instructor and leading teams on operations ranging from protecting the interim Iraqi elected officials to direct action missions in Baghdad and Afghanistan. He's an author, a coach, a speaker, just a phenomenal individual. And like I said at the start of this, has had a massive impact on my life. It was a couple years ago. I met William probably, 4 or 5 years ago, William, was that through Sharon?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, through Sharon. It was probably 4 years ago, I think.
Yeah, 4 years ago. And then, so I got to know him a little bit over the phone and stuff like that. And then I went to this event. It's called Man Made out in Wyoming, and got to meet William in person and spend a couple days with them. And it was pretty life altering in two different scenarios. And I'll share those here in a minute. But William, thanks for being here. Super excited to have you, and really excited to talk with you a little bit about you and what you do, and really the focus point will be all on your CBD products and the impact that those have had on my life, and really sharing those with the people that listen to this and that follow me and my information. So again, thanks for being here, man. How you been?
I'm doing well. I'm actually I'm humbled. You're like, the words that you're saying, I'm like, what, really? Because I look up to you, man.
Sure. I'm actually really excited. Just, I know I never have really got to acknowledge the impact that you had that weekend we spent with that group of guys. But I'll just to give everybody kind of a little what my experience was, and I knew I was going to meet you in person. I knew all about you. A couple other really great guys out there. This is a great group of guys in general, and I knew going in that there was going to be a lot of working out, and I was really, really nervous about this because my background, I was a speed power athlete. Like, I'm all explosion, no endurance, and I didn't know what to expect when I was coming out there, but I went out there with this one specific goal, was that no matter what the workout was, I was going to finish. I was not going to ever give up no matter what we did, and that was my goal. And this is like one of the big impacts you had right away. First workout, I survived. It was horrible, but I survived. The second workout, we go from more of a conditioning workout to a weight room workout. And you're like, I'm gonna try to challenge this guy a little bit. I'm gonna see if I can't compete a little bit in this realm. This is more my realm. And we start going, and I swear to God, I was trying to push you, and I would push, and then you'd step up and beat me by like 10 or 15 reps on everything we did. And you had this big smile on your face, you're cracking jokes, you're laughing the whole time. And we get done. It's just like, I looked at you, like, what the hell is wrong with you? And you said this incredibly profound thing to me. You said, Brad, I could tell that you're the type that you've made a decision. You've made the first decision. And that decision is, you can finish or you can give up. And he said, the difference between you and me, Brad, is that I make two decisions. I make that decision. I will never give up. I will always finish. But the second decision that you have to make moving forward is simply this. You can either decide to finish mediocre, or you can decide to finish awesome. I will always finish awesome. And that rocked my world. Where in the world did that come from?
That was something I learned, I figured out in BUDS, in SEAL training. And it was, so I believe that what's the guy's name? I'm blocking on his name. He said Jim Rohn, he said, you were the sum of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. And so I didn't know anything about that until much later on in life, but I recognized in SEAL training, there was one boat crew, it was boat crew 3, from Sunday night during Hell Week till Monday morning, they were winning all the races. The boat crew that I was in, guys didn't really want to be there. They didn't want to put out. And I'm like, I don't want to be surrounded by those guys. I want to be surrounded by, I want to be a boat crew 3. Those guys are winning. And I want to know what their secret sauce is. I want to know who's in there. Like, what are they thinking? And so we lost a bunch of people from Sunday night through Monday afternoon, so much that we had to reshuffle the boat crews. And I'm like, I'm going to be a boat crew 3. There's 7 people in each boat crew. So I was like, and you line up in a height line. And I watch. I was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's boat crew 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's boat crew 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll be number 5 of boat crew 3. You know what? If I'm not tall enough, I've got sand under my feet. I can make myself as tall or short as I need to be. So I'm going to be in this boat crew. I got in that boat crew, and there was no superstars in there. Everyone was just sort of average Joe, but everyone had this uncommon desire to be awesome, to finish, to be at the front of the pack 100% of the time. And it didn't matter where we started. If we started at the back of the back of the train, because you carry these stupid boats on your head all through Hell Week, and you're supposed to, like, the back boat is supposed to be touching the front boat, and then that boat is touching the back of the other boat, and all the way up. And so we might start at the back, and it didn't matter if we were doing a race, we're doing something stupid for Hell Week, or if we're just going to chow on the other side of the base that was like a mile away. No matter what, we always finished in the front. And I certainly felt sorry for myself a lot of those times where I was like, I don't feel like keeping up. But I made this conscious decision to be surrounded by these dudes that just had this unspoken desire to win. And I was like, so I got a tremendous amount of growth in that. And that's when I realized, like, you can either be mediocre, you can quit or keep going. And if you decide to keep going, you can be mediocre or you can be fucking awesome. And so I just choose to be awesome. I may not always win, but I'm going to strive to get across that line. As you know, it's just that sort of inherent competitive nature that I don't think I was born with it, but I certainly got instilled with it.
Yeah, it was awesome the way you displayed it. And you even told me, go, hey, look, I'm suffering just as much as you are. I'm just choosing how I suffer. It was horrible.
Right.
You're just,
but I would rather suffer with a smile on my face and be like, yeah, let's go. No, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more fun that way. It's more fun if you have fun suffering than not.
Yeah. So I mean, that was just a profound thing for me. I grew up with a father, and his message was always giving up is not an option. So I was always very proud of that and always pushing that. But I've enhanced that to just finish awesome. And that has got me through some serious struggles, some serious hard times. And I'm tired, I'm dragging. Just that reminder of finish awesome. How would William handle this? How would William deal with this? And just put a smile on your face and just let no one see you suffer. I love that. So that has a huge impact on me. So thank you for that. Like, that was an awesome experience.
Yeah. So can I say one more thing about that really quickly? So yeah. We may talk about this in a minute, but I'm going to share this. I found out this week that I'm being sued by a nutrition company for using the word naked.
You're kidding me.
I didn't even no, I'm not. Like, Naked Way is the name of the company. And they're suing me for using Naked Warrior Recovery, trademark infringement, something like that. And my first thought was like, oh, I don't have the money, the time. I don't have time to deal with all this stuff. My second thought was like, let's go. I'm ready for fucking battle. And I'm sorry about swearing, but I'm getting all fired up about it. I'm like, let's go. I'm like, you know what? I get to be sued. How many people get to be sued?
Right.
How many businesses? And you know what? This is going to make me better. I don't care. Like, that'll help my clients. Other people that I interact with, that I work with, that may go into this. Guess what? I have those battle scars. Let's go. I'm ready for it. Bring it. You can't scare me.
Yeah.
I'm ready. Let's go.
That does not surprise me about you. So actually, this is a perfect tie into the second big thing that you influenced me with when we were out there. You're this bad dude. Like, I'm watching you train. We go out to the range. You were a sniper instructor. We're on the shooting range. And I swear to God, it didn't matter what gun this man picked up. It was ding, 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 ding. I mean, I don't think missing was an option for you no matter what gun we had. So I'm watching you train. I'm watching you shoot guns. I'm watching the way you carry yourself. And at this time in my life, I'm going through hell, some personal hell. And I'm not wanting to share it. I'm wanting to kind of hide it from everyone. I kind of got my shell on. And we sit down one of the days and you speak to us. And I watched you just kind of like take off this, I don't know what you call it. I've heard you talk about your armor. You kind of just take your armor off, you set it down, and you got super vulnerable with us. And you said something around the lines of, you were talking about life, and you said, you want to know the thing that really was the hardest thing ever for me to deal with, the thing that was the most traumatic for me to deal with, was not war, was not any of that stuff. It was a personal scenario in your life that I was dealing with. And at that point, you allowed me to drop my facade and be like, oh my gosh, because I thought, what is wrong with me? Here I am, I'm dealing with this personal thing in life and I can't handle it and I'm falling apart and why am I not strong enough to deal with it? You saying that is all of a sudden like, oh, I don't have to hide. Like, it just gave me this freedom to think like, okay, here's this man that has done all these things, been through war, been on all these missions. And he had the vulnerability to say, yeah, this thing right here, this personal thing in life is the hardest thing I've had to deal with. This has caused more battle wounds than anything. And it's the same thing I was dealing with. I'm like, oh my God, why am I hiding this? And that moment, you allowed me to drop my guard and actually start to deal with it. And I loved how you talk about, you're talking about that it's not traumas, it's lessons. And that was just awesome. And I want you to kind of share this whole thing around dropping your armor and the vulnerability and all of that. And then I like how this leads into how you came up with the CBD.
I like your representation of what I say, because I'm like, I never really thought about it the way that you're interpreting it. It's awesome. And I really appreciate that. So I will say that, I like to say I have a lot of baggage. And I think we all have baggage. Some of it's combat, some of it's not so awesome relationships, some of it's who knows what.
Yeah.
And my entire life, I have hidden, been afraid to be vulnerable, and in my entire life. And then at some point, I think I saw a leader in the SEAL teams at some point say, you know what, I need help. And that surprised me, because he was someone who I never thought needed help. And I also, my time in the SEAL teams, I'm like, I'm just a regular dude. You see me in a different light than I see myself, but I also know that it's important for me to share kind of my vulnerabilities as well.
Yeah.
And my lessons learned and things like that, because I know how people see me. I know how I look at other guys that did the same job that I did. And I look at them very differently than I look at myself. So we all look at ourselves kind of, more humble than maybe we should. I don't know.
Right.
But I know for me, I was on I think the thing that helped me, I was working on trying to be more vulnerable, trying to like figure out what the hell I'm doing. And I was on a call with, what was that? It was an app. It came out right around 2020, Clubhouse, that app. And someone pulled me into a room, and there was a psychiatrist in there, or shrink. I don't know, psychiatrist, psychologist. I don't know the difference. And I'm trying to do this vulnerability thing because some other people that I looked up to were doing it. I'm like, okay, well, I don't really know how to do it. It scares the shit out of me. So but I'm going to try it. And so I got on there and I was like, I have a really hard time of asking people for help. I don't like asking people for help. I feel like it's a sign of weakness. Like people will look down on me or something like that. And she was like, so let me ask you a question. How do you feel when someone asks you for help and you help them? I was like, oh, I feel awesome. I love helping people. It's amazing. She said, well, why are you robbing someone else of that joy? And so I told her I can't talk to her anymore because she hurt my feelings. and so that was part of the path forward, I think, for me to like figure out like, well, I am wearing armor. I'm wearing this mask. I'm wearing, we go into combat and we put our armor on to protect us when we go into harm's way. And then at some point, we finish the mission, we come back, we take our armor off, we hit the showers, we get naked, we clean up, we rest, we recover, we get ready for the next mission. We don't do that in life. We keep this, like, we always feel like we're under attack. And I felt like I was under attack by people or situations or whatever for most of my life. I always felt like, oh my God, I have to be, my guard always has to be up. It doesn't. But it took me like probably 48 years to figure that out. And, now I'm like, whatever, dude, I don't care. I'm okay sucking. I'm okay being vulnerable. I'm okay doing all that other stuff. You know what it does? It makes me stronger. It makes me better. Like the most courage that I could have comes from me being vulnerable. Like there's so much courage that is required to like put yourself out there. Like, just like expose yourself and be vulnerable. Like that's like the scariest thing you could possibly do. Way more scary than going into combat. I'll go to combat every day of the week. Let's go. I've been trained how to do that. This whole vulnerability, get naked thing, I'm still working on. I'm still figuring it out. I'm still like, I don't know if I should trust this person.
See, I really want to just thank you for displaying that vulnerability in front of us, because at that time in my life, I kept hearing, you just need to be vulnerable. You need to more be authentic. You have your guard up, and people can sense that. And like you said, like I was scared to death to drop it because I didn't know how to do it. I mean, I remember growing up, my dad, like, men don't cry. Like that was like the thing. And I didn't see my dad cry until way late in his life. Like, so it was all super new to me. And then when I saw you display it, I'm like, and to me, what I saw when you did it was like, holy cow, that took some serious courage. And that point like made me respect you a whole lot more, look up to you a whole lot more. And I'm like, I'm going to do that. Like if he can do that with everything he's been through, I can do that. And it has such a massive impact on my life. Like people, like all the time, people are like, God, you're so vulnerable. That it's such a sign of strength. And my relation with my kids is so strong now because of it. And my kids have seen me cry multiple times, and I'm not afraid of it. And it's been awesome. Still scary as shit, but it's awesome. So, like those are like just two like massive,
terrifying.
Yeah, it is. But those were
terrifying.
It's funny. Every time I get a little emotional on this podcast or get a little vulnerable on the podcast, we're done. I leave. I'm like, oh my God, what did I just do? Like, I like almost to the point of like asking Caesar to, okay, let's cancel that one. Don't put that one up. But it always gets the best response. So it's wild. But those were two
right. Yeah.
massive takeaways for me that I never had the chance to like really thank you for. And it's just been kind of building on me from that time with you. So just an incredible thank you for myself, my family.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was awesome. So the real reason I wanted to bring up, one, I wanted to take that opportunity to share those experiences with you and what I learned, and hopefully people take some stuff from that. But I really want to dive into your CBD. After I met with you, at that time of my life, I was going through hell, and your CBD products really helped me get through it. So I'd love, first off, the whole get naked thing. I'd love for you to share like where that came from. I love this story and I want everybody to hear about it. So please, if you wouldn't mind, where in the world did Naked Recovery come from?
Sure. So one more thing before I go into that. I'll tell you that I cry at least 70% of the time that I go on stage at some point. I was in Canada last week, and I do this bit where I do like the man in the arena.
Yeah.
Towards the end. And my daughter has learned that, say exactly the same way I say it.
Oh, I love it.
And she learned it when she was 8. And then, so like, I would make her say it every day. I would take her to school. And then one day she was like, Dad, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm like, no, that's not an option. And so now I tell this part of the story when I do the man in the arena. And I'm like, you know what? My plan, my goal is to be in front of a crowd of a minimum of 2,000 people. And then when it comes to that point in my presentation, bring her up and we say it together. If I could say it without crying.
That's one of my favorite quotes.
And I'm like crying there on the stage. I'm like, hold on, I can't. I gotta like, give me a minute. Like snot bubbles and all. And then I did a TED talk like back in November. Same thing. I was like crying during the thing, and like I had to like, as I'm like snot bubbles coming out of my nose, I'm like, oh, hold on, let me get my act together over here. And then like, and I would like look in the crowd. I'm like, don't look at him, don't look at her. Like the people that are crying with me, I'm like, oh, this is not good. So anyway, sorry, I digress. But yeah, I've been practicing vulnerability for sure.
I love that,
and it's scary, but the more you do it, the easier it is. But that kind of the get naked mindset is it's really that taking that armor off, taking that ego that you're hiding behind off. And Naked Warrior Recovery was the Naked Warrior was the predecessor of today's Navy SEAL. If you've ever seen the movie Saving Private Ryan, you saw like that assault on Normandy. Well, prior to that assault, the Navy went and got these volunteers that were good, that could swim, and they were good with demolitions. And they devised a plan. They came in, to do these reconnaissance of the beach. They came back. They sort of charted everything out, and these plans that these pre-frogmen men went in and they took about a 70% casualty rate, 75% casualty rate that day, but they would swim in like days and weeks before, do reconnaissance of the beach, reconnaissance of the water, looking for obstacles, chart it all out, and that was the battle plan that was Normandy. And then they disbanded that unit, and then they fast forward to the island campaign in the Pacific, where the Marines were like going ashore, and they would hit these barrier reefs, and they would like have like 60, 80 pounds of gear. They would run off those boats, and they would like think they're in 3 feet of water, and then they would drown in 30 feet of water on the other side of that reef. And so the Navy recommissioned these teams. They would go in, and basically they would go in wearing like little teeny tiny shorts, a K-bar knife, a mask, a fin, and they would go in and do these reconnaissance of the beach, of the the channels of which they would do these assaults. And then they would go in and they would plant demolition charges on obstacles in the water, reefs, things like that, to clear the lane for these Marines to go ashore. And so those later became Underwater Demolition Team. And then later in 1962, during Vietnam, they became U.S. Navy SEALs. So the Naked Warrior is the predecessor of today's Navy SEAL, all dating back to World War II. So when I got out and I was like, what should be the name of my company? I was afraid to use the word naked. And so, but I was like, you know what, this is like, it's scary for me to say it. So maybe I should say it. If I'm afraid to do it, I should definitely be doing it. If I'm afraid to do a podcast, I should definitely be doing it. If I'm afraid to like do public speaking, I should definitely do it. Whatever it is, I should be doing it. And so that's how you grow. That's how you get stronger. That's how you get better and things like that, and practice that vulnerability. And so on the CBD side, CBD was a modality that, all the baggage, all the noise in my head, I was drinking myself to sleep at night, glasses and glasses and glasses of vodka. And one is never enough. Two's, 3 is pretty good. 4 is awesome. And then I pretty much pass out. And then wake up the next day. You certainly can't perform at an optimal level ever. Yeah. And so I'd heard about this molecule called CBD while I was still on active duty. I wasn't going to try it because it comes from marijuana. Drugs are bad, okay? And I'm a child of Nancy Reagan's war on drugs, but I knew that I was struggling. And I'd heard enough things about it. I'm like, I need to do this. I need to try it. And someone gave me my first bottle of CBD, and I didn't notice anything when I took it. But what I noticed over time is, I like to say water boils at 212 degrees. I was probably living at 210 degrees. And it didn't take much for me to hit that boiling point. And so what I noticed is over time, taking CBD for that month, my fuse got longer. I went from like 210 degrees to 205 to 200 to 195 to 190, maybe 198 or 185. And then I stopped taking it. And then, like pains in my body were not as sharp or bad as they normally are. And then I started noticing things started, like my fuse started getting shorter again. I was like, why am I like angry again? Why is this thing bothering me when it wasn't bothering me 2 weeks ago? Maybe it was CBD. So I tried a different brand. I had similar results, and I wanted to be in the CBD industry. The other thing about getting out of the military, retiring, is the day that I retired from the military, I lost my mission and my purpose and my team. And I didn't know what to do with myself. And so I met a girl at a business summit put on by Major Schoolian. And she was putting CBD into kinesiology tape. And I was like, oh, CBD, I want to be in that industry. So I followed her. I was like, hey, you're the CBD girl, right? She was like, yeah. I'm like, I want to do CBD. And she was like, so do you want to do A to B, B to B, or B to C? And I was like, I don't know those letters. I want to do CBD. I didn't know anything about business at the time. And I've learned a lot since then. And she was like, well, why don't you just start your own CBD company? Really, I wanted her to hire me. Maybe she's on my new team, my new mission, my new purpose, whatever. And she was like, and I said, I don't know how to start a CBD company. And she leaned in and she said, you are a Navy SEAL. You can figure it out. So I politely asked her for my man card back, and I put that back in my pocket, not giving that thing up again, and then roll from there. But so I came home, I Googled how to start a CBD company. I found out that the majority of CBD companies at the time were corrupt. They didn't have CBD in them. They had high levels of THC. They didn't have, maybe it was like an MCT oil. Maybe it was just a hemp oil. Maybe it was just a whatever, but it wasn't like a quality product. So I went to find the highest quality suppliers in the market. And the suppliers that I partnered with have driven the standard for CBD in the industry. Like the biggest names that you'll see out there in the industry, they drove the standard for those guys to raise the level. So we started, and what I mean by that is, the high performers, high producers, high quality, they were testing the oil when it comes out of the plant, but they never tested the oil again. And so what we were doing, we tested the oil when it came out of the plant to make sure it didn't have toxins or, it had what it had, and it was actually hemp that CBD was derived from, not marijuana. There's a difference, really. I could go into that if you want, but it's hemp derived. And so what we were doing, we would test the oil, turn it into a product, and then test the final product. No one else was testing the final product. There's contamination that does happen during the manufacturing process. We also wanted to make sure that if we say it's got, let's say 25 milligrams of CBD in it, that it has a minimum of 25 milligrams, probably like 10% more of the minimum that we say that it has in it. So we wanted to make sure that there was no contamination. It actually has what we say it has in it. We put QR codes, and we really drove the industry to do the things that the CBD industry is currently doing.
Love it. Yeah, it was funny. I was always afraid of CBD. I remember around the same age as you, and drugs were always bad. When I remember first heard about it, I'm like, oh, that's bad. That's marijuana. And then after hearing you talk about it, trying the product, I was like, oh. And then it really, like with you, my biggest issues when I was going through my lessons was the inability to sleep at night. Like when I would go to lay down, my mind would just take off. And that was the thing that basically started to numb itself as I started taking the CBD. And so whenever life starts getting real tough on me, I love that stuff, man. It just settles me in and gets me through it. So a lot of my people that listen are high stressed, high performers. Stress is the enemy in my world of the people I work with. And so I'm such a big fan. One of the biggest reasons I wanted to have you on was to help people understand, like, no, CBD is not a drug. It's not marijuana, but it has such powerful aspects to it. And one thing I like about some of the products you carry, it has no THC in it. So if you're someone who's getting drug tested for jobs, or like an athlete getting drug tested, or security clearance, any of that stuff, you can take this stuff without having to worry about popping a drug test. It's really powerful and really safe.
Yeah.
That's why I always recommend your product with any of my people that I know drug testing is a scenario, because it's safe and it's reliable and there's no worry there. I also love your energy drink, your CBD energy drink. Lord Almighty, that is one of my favorites. If you're somebody who likes that energy kick, I highly recommend that one. Well, how does that work?
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, how does that work? I've never.
So it's caffeine and some other adaptogens, but it's CBD. So it's interesting. Everyone, you know about like red light therapy, photobiomodulation. Mm-hmm. So you turn on red lights in the morning, it stimulates your mitochondria. It's like a sunrise. It wakes you up, gets you going. You also use red lights in the evening to stimulate melatonin production, things like that, or secretion. CBD does kind of the same thing. It gives you what you need. So in the daytime, if you in kind of smaller doses, it will give you a boost of energy. But when you mix the CBD and the caffeine together, it gives you like more sustained energy. You don't get the peak and then the crash. You get kind of a midway sort of sustained, focused energy.
Interesting.
So that's the idea behind it. But I did want to come back and touch on one thing that you said. I do have some products that have THC in them now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I don't know about that. I'm not sure. But it's hemp derived THC. Again, if you have drug testing, do not use these products. But I have found that I would say that my sleep product is the best all around product that I have. The soft gels, you can use it in the daytime when you have you get like freaking out. You're like, what the like crazy shit's going on? Like, because it has 25 milligrams of CBD, it has melatonin, it has CBN. CBN is a sedative molecule of the hemp plant, and it just kind of brings you back down. Those three molecules work synergistically in the brain. Help producing more GABA, so you feel better, serotonin, all those things. But also at night when my brain's just like, I'm like, here, let me do one more thing. Maybe watch another stupid YouTube video. Maybe do whatever. What would happen to me is because I'm always doing something, and I would hit this point where you get tired, and you should go to bed when you get tired.
Yeah.
Well, I would push past that point, and I would get my second wind, and then I'm up till 1. I'm like, oh, how do I slow back down? Maybe I'll get a drink, another cocktail, and then 3, 4, 5, and then I'm hammered. That's no way to live. Certainly, yeah. So the sleep product I would hit that tired point, and I would never recover. I'm like, finally, I would just tap out and say, okay, I'm going to bed. You win.
Yeah.
So now I combine it with this other product. I call them buzzing gummies. They have 5 milligrams of Delta 9 THC. That could be too much for some people, but you cut it in half. And I had someone tell me the other day that it made them feel like they were on a cloud. So they took the sleep gummy that I have, which is very similar to the soft gels, and the buzzing gummies. I do it about an hour before bed. And then I'm just I get heavy, everything slows down. If I'm having a conversation with someone and I'm like, I can still have the conversation, but if the words aren't going from the brain to the mouth, I'm like, you know what? I got to go check out. It's time for me to. And so it's been a game changer for me. It also has reduced the amount that I drink by about 95%.
That's awesome.
Like I don't care about alcohol anymore.
Yeah.
I used to be a hugely dependent on it. Not saying I was an alcoholic. I maybe have been called that, but I don't even care about it anymore.
I love that. Yeah, it's funny. I gave up alcohol about 7 months ago. And at a point now where it's like, I did go out the other night and had a cocktail. I'm like, why do I even have that? Like, I don't even like, there's zero enjoyment for me anymore.
Right.
I love how much better my brain works, my energy and my sleep is when I don't have anything.
Yeah. And that's the other thing about those buzzing gummies is they're like THC, like anything in a high dose is going to not be good for you.
Right.
It doesn't matter what it is. Too much water is going to be bad for you.
Yeah.
But the THC, because it's a lower dose, and the way the THC and CBD are antithesis. So that blend, just like I've tried THC and some other products because I'm like, okay, I don't have drug testing anymore. I want to know what does this feel like? I don't like the way it makes me feel.
Yeah.
At all. I don't like it at all. I like the way these make me feel.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta be careful with THC. I get really, I've tried it a couple times. I got really depressed with it for like days afterwards.
Yeah. And but I do that. I sleep amazing. I wear a Whoop. I wear a Whoop and Apple Watch all in one. I wear the Apple Watch on top and the Whoop on the bottom. And my sleep I don't think it's ever been better.
That's amazing. I haven't tried your buzzing gummies yet. I'm gonna try those. I've tried all your products.
This, send me your address. I'll send you some stuff. I'll send you some stacks of stuff.
All right.
I like stacking stuff because I just think I get a better response.
Yeah, I remember at Man Made you were playing around with bath bombs. Did you ever come out with those?
Yes.
Imagine this.
I do have some bath bombs. I recently stopped carrying them because no one was buying them.
Oh my gosh.
I have a handful. I can get more, but like on the business side, like margins are super thin and like no one was buying them. I'm like, they're just sitting here. I'm like, I'm giving a lot of them away, but.
Okay, I remember you gave us.
I know that you really liked them.
Well, yeah, I remember. Like here, I got this gnarly Navy SEAL handing me these pink bath bombs. So I'm like, yes, sir, I'll try it. I really liked them. I thought they were pretty good.
Lavender. They're lavender.
Oh, they looked pink to me. Like, yes, sir. Whatever you say. Awesome, man. Well, thank you for that breakdown on CBD and like I said, I love you, man. Like everything you've done for me and all the inspiration you've given me. I hope people, pick something up from it. William's all over the internet. He's on so many podcasts. He's all over YouTube. So if you want to dive in deeper with him, check it out. Like I'll constantly, probably once a month, we'll just Google it, find new stuff that he's done just to watch him and listen and learn from him. Phenomenal individual. William, I want to ask you one last thing for my people. It's not very often you get to have a conversation with a Navy SEAL, especially as decorated as you, as long as you did it. And you're also a mindset coach. What is one mindset tip you could give my people to help optimize their performance?
That's a good question. I'm gonna say this one thing, and it kind of flies in the face of a lot of traditional wisdom. But I would say, if you're gonna do something and you're not getting the results that you want to get, I would say make bold adjustments, make big dynamic movements. So a lot of people are like, the common wisdom is like, okay, do micro increment changes. Well, you can do that for a while and you don't see a lot of change. But if you go and you do, like, sometimes it's the opposite. And you're a perfect example of this, with your story and your diet and the things that happened to you, where you're like, oh, low carb, or no carb or whatever. And you started having major metabolic issues. You had to do the opposite of traditional wisdom.
Yeah.
So in kind of where that came from is, when I was teaching sniper school and I would go back to the platoons and I'm like running the ranges and sometimes, the guys that worked at the headquarters, they haven't been on a gun for a long time. And so they need to, get back on it and they forgot how to sight their gun in. You wouldn't know that about Navy SEALs, but most of them don't know how to sight a gun in. And they're like making these tiny adjustments and the impacts aren't moving across the paper. So what I would do is I would come over and I would take their gun. I'm like, can I see that for a second? They're like, yeah, it doesn't work. It's like stuck. I'm like, okay. And I would just like do these major bold adjustments. And they're like, dude, you probably broke my scope. I'm like, just would do me a favor and take a few shots. The impacts moved all the way across the paper to the other side of the bullseye, but much closer to the bullseye. And then they could do those small increments to bring them back in. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. High performance, low performance. Sometimes you just have to make bold adjustments to get back into the bullseye where you need to go.
Oh, I like that. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Sorry to put you on the spot there, but I know you and I know you can handle that. Before we wrap this up, can you kind of let everybody know where they can find you on the internet, on social media, your CBD, your coaching, all that stuff? I'd love to share that with everyone.
Yeah, I'm building out landing pages for everything. But if you, the first thing I'll give you is to learn more about like 5 secrets to help you think like a Navy SEAL. Go to 5sealsecrets.com, the number 5sealsecrets.com. Just put your information in there, and I'll send you this PDF that talks about getting naked. That's the secret. Get naked. Naked is never quit. A is accept failure. K is kill mediocrity. E is expose your fears, and D is do the work. I forgot to say that earlier. Instagram, I'm william.r.branum or Naked Warrior Recovery. Both accounts say the same thing. CBD company is nw-recovery.com. And coaching, if you just go to that 5 SEAL Secrets and you download that, you like what I have to say, just reach out to me. And, that's my email address. It comes directly to me and, I'll reply and we can have that conversation.
Awesome, man. Love it. Hey, thank you so much for taking the time to spend with me. It's good seeing you again. And I look forward to next time we get to hang out. I've been training.
I think that's all of it.
What's that?
California. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Next time I'm in California, I'll have to hit you up.
Hey, yeah. Come out because I just opened up a brand new gym out at Marietta Hot Springs. A client of mine bought Marietta Hot Springs, has brought it back to life. It's incredible, man. Come out. We'll stay out there. We'll train a bunch. I might try to push you a little bit.
Awesome.
And we'll have a good time out there, man.
I like it.
Yeah. Good seeing you.
Being pushed.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, all right. I'll do
all
my
right,
best.
We'll talk soon.
All right, buddy. Take care. Bye, bud.